Do you need to worry about what rating your screenplay may garner if it gets made into a movie? And the answer is mostly no, but with a little bit of yes. For the most part, you shouldn't be thinking much at all about the rating of your screenplay if it were to get made. And mainly, that's for two reasons. One, you have zero control. I mean, there's so much that can happen between the time the script is bought and the time it gets fully edited, and you have little to zero control over it. Things like who is directing, who is cast, are they filming that action sequence with blood splatter or just implied injuries? What is being shown in the sex scene, which all depend on who is cast and who is directing and budget and a host of other things. Lots of things you cannot control. And the second reason you shouldn't worry about it is you're writing the wrong script. Okay, ratings are not doled out until there is a final cut of the film anyway, but you are not writing a film to be shot. You are writing a screenplay that's meant to be read. Your task is to write a good read, not a good shooting script. So no, you don't need to worry about the rating. Well, maybe. Plus, depending on the market your script gets sold in will cause the rating to vary wildly. In the US, violence on screen is a little more acceptable than nudity and sex. You show the latter, you're going to get a higher rating. In Europe, nudity and sex are more acceptable than violence, so you show the latter and you get a higher rating. Asian markets are not necessarily concerned about both of those things or each of those things, but the reason behind why they're there, and if it's culturally subversive or not, probably going to get a higher rating. But again, you have zero control over any of it, and in fact, it's not your job because that's not the script you're writing. So no, you don't have to worry about the rating, except for one little thing. Tone. The tone of your script is critically important for the reader's experience and enjoyment of the script, and the tone of the screenplay has to match the anticipated tone for the type of script you are writing. So a reader approaches your script, they have in their mind what they think the tone is, and your tone has to match or closely match that, and if it doesn't, that's going to be a problem. So if you are writing what seems to be an animated movie, we're starting to read the script, it feels like an animated movie, because there's polar bears and penguins and they're talking to one another. And if all of a sudden, just on random, page 17, there starts to be a whole bunch of F-bombs and then there's a graphic sex scene. Okay, you've not only upset every animal activist in the world, you clearly just totally confused your reader. They got used to an animated feature with Arctic animals, and now they've got a homicidal penguin who likes to desecrate dead polar bears. Okay, this is not what they signed up for in the first few pages of the script, and now they have no idea what kind of script it is. And while there might be a market for that kind of wild film, as you're writing it, you have to lean into what you think would be the general rating, and you have to do it from the first page all the way to the last one. You can't change it midstream. So really, just think about your script in one of these three buckets, just as far as the audience goes, okay? Just being broad and general. One, is it for little kids and whole families? Is it a 4-quadrant movie intended to appeal to men and women, teens and adults? Or is it a straight-up adult movie, either because of graphic elements or language or themes within the story? So is it a family movie like How the Grinch Stole Christmas? Is it a 4-quadrant movie like The Santa Claus or Elf? Or is it a straight-up adult-themed movie like Violent Night or Die Hard? All Christmas movies, but all very different ratings. And here's the thing, in those scripts, it is clear from the beginning and it is consistent all the way through. The tone is clear, the tone is consistent, what the intended rating and who the audience is, that's what's clear, and that is what you can control. And that part that you can control, that is the only part of a rating that you need to be worried about as you're writing the scripts to be read. That the tone and your intended audience is clear and consistent from page 1 all the way to the end. And if your script is a kid-friendly movie, that should be very clear and evident on page 1, and do not deviate that throughout the rest of your script. And if you're going for a raunchy comedy, it needs to be clear that that's what you're reading from page 1, and your choice needs to be consistent throughout the entire script. So no, you don't need to worry about what the actual rating will be, but you do need to and want to write into an intended audience by being clear on page 1 and then being consistent with that audience throughout the entire screenplay. And many of you have been consistently around watching this channel for a while, and I am so grateful and thankful for each of you. Thank you for doing that. For those of you that help me out through Patreon, I really appreciate that a lot. There's a link below if you'd like to help me there. If you're not on my Patreon, I have a lot of my older videos there, and you might find something useful there. Plus, you get some fun Big Red Stripe swag every couple of months. So if you're interested in that, that link is below. If you want to improve in the craft, there are links below for my book or online course or coaching program. That will be helpful to you. And if you want to learn about budget considerations you might need to be aware of when you write, watch this. Don't forget about fun buttons, other links below, and when you tell a story, be clear and consistent about who your audience is and tell a story that matters. See you later.